Hello everybody, you're welcome back again to the Reggae Appreciation Society. The great Neville O'Reilly Livingston, more popularly known as Bunny Wailer, is not only remembered as one of the all-time legends of reggae music, but is also revered as one of the biggest champions of the Rastafarian faith. He was the absolute definition of a no-nonsense character. He was the youngest of the Wailers and the smallest in stature, but he was the most feared and toughest of the trio as they navigated the gritty streets of Kingston in the 1960s and 1970s. A lesson that the likes of Coxsone Dodd and Lee Scratch Perry would learn the hard way. In his later years, he assumed a fatherly role as an elder on the reggae scene and became something of a gatekeeper of the Rastafarian faith and conscious music in general, similar to a role that Burning Spear would assume as exemplified in his song Legal Hustlers, in which he criticized reggae artists who jump on the reggae and Rasta bandwagon simply to make money. In 2013, Bunny Wailer famously bashed US rapper Snoop Dogg and accused him of being a fake Rasta when the latter assumed the Snoop Lounge persona and released the album Reincarnated.
With the legend, 50 years, bless up, Bunny Wailer. One thing about Bunny Wailer is that if you ain't real, he ain't gonna be around you.
And honestly, I believe that Snoop Dogg deserved the roasting. But 10 years before that, I was shocked when Jabi challenged and questioned the legitimacy of none other than the then firebrand and radical Capleton. At the time, I found it a bewildering accusation, as Capleton was not just any reggae artist, but was the most aggressive and militant member of the new generation of Jamaican artists, and one who championed Rastafari at every given opportunity. That's why Bunny's challenge of Capleton in front of the massive crowd at the Reggae Kings in Action Festival held in March 2000 at Montego Bay had everybody present confused. But what was the reason behind it? Let's take a look at the night Bunny Wailer challenged Capleton and called him a fake. As said earlier, Capleton was by the new millennium a frontline general of the conscious reggae movement called the Rasta Renaissance, a musical revolutionary movement dedicated to dragging reggae back from the depths of slackness to its more conscious origins. A group that had the likes of Buju Banton, Luciano, and Anthony B. Alongside Sizzler, Capleton made the rest of them look tame and soft in comparison. The pair became synonymous with the use of the theme of fire as a means of purification of all the ills in society and reggae in general, a general sickness which they had come to cleanse with their music. Capleton has since the mid-1990s been the member of a radical collective of Rastafarian artists called the House of David Crew, and had been putting out conscious tunes since the release of his album Good Soul in 1994. In fact, Capleton was so hardcore in his Rastafarian messaging that he was heavily criticized for spreading hate in his music. And he was also a member of the Bobo Ashanti Rasta Mansion, a subset that was among the most radical from that faith. Hardly the kind of guy you would call a fake Rasta. But it so happened that Bunny Wailer's skepticism of Capleton's Rasta credentials stemmed from his exploits before 1994. Since the late 80s and before he became a dread, he had been the quintessential dancehall rude boy and was something of a protege of Ninja Man. His 1990 smash hit Bombo Red was as successful as it was controversial and was banned from the airwaves in Jamaica. He would pour out a slew of slack mega hits like No Lotion Man and Number 1 on the Good Look charts, and was easily a slack DJ like most of his peers were. But he would undergo a radical change when his good friend and fellow dancehall artist Panhead was murdered in late 1993. That tragedy would cause Capleton to undergo a spiritual conversion that saw him become a Rastafarian and shift towards conscious music with a vengeance. His album Good Soul, which came out in 1994, would mark the beginning of his new chapter, as it was a compilation filled with songs of spirituality and social commentary. His radical outlook got even stronger as years went by into the new millennium, as he was hailed as the face of uncompromising roots reggae and was crowned a prophet or fireman by a new generation of reggae fans. However, one dramatic evening in March 2000, the great Bunny Wailer would call Capleton out as a fake with the whole world watching. That evening, Jabi was the high point of a concert called Reggae Kings in Action, which held at Montego Bay, an event which also featured supporting acts like Luciano, Junior Reid, Yami Bolo, Josie Wales, and Charlie Chaplin. He was the final act of that evening's show and stormed the stage at about 6 in the morning before mesmerizing the crowd with his repertoire of classic songs like Cool Runnings, Black Heart Man, and Armageddon. But in between songs, he paused the music to give a few words of admonition on current social events. After a withering commentary about the problems in Jamaican society, he stunned the crowd when he launched into a fierce criticism of none other than Capleton. He poured scorn on the younger artist's supposed conversion from slackness in all his infamy to his new status of a holy Rasta prophet. In his fiery monologue, he called Capleton out for being the same person who had performed the song Bumbo Red that was so slack that it had been banned from the airwaves. He basically labeled Capleton a fake holy man that was exploiting the faith and using it as a cash cow, and ended his speech with a warning that Rastafari was no joke. This severe bashing was definitely a major challenge and throwdown to Capleton, but I'm really glad that the fireman showed respect to his older colleague and didn't respond, but instead would let his music do all the talking. He would from then unleash album after album of pure Rastafarian brilliance, including bangers like 2002's Just Blazing, 2003's Praises to the King, 2004's Rain of Fire, down to 2007's Rise Them Up, and others over the years. He also amassed an almost fanatical following, and along with the likes of Sizzler and Anthony B, they would all cement their position as the true kings of reggae in the 21st century, and it would over time earn Bunny Wailer's respect without responding to that legend's callouts. And both men developed a strong relationship that was built on mutual respect and admiration. They would even share the same stages at various concerts, both in Jamaica and overseas, as the years went by. And they remained on really good terms up until Jabi passed away in 2021 at the age of 73. Many fans of Capleton called out Bunny Wailer's challenge of the fireman as being high-handed and unnecessary. And while there's a little truth in that, the fact is, they've always been hustlers who, like Burning Spear said, have jumped on reggae's bandwagon or Rasta train to become successful and make money. And Bunny Wailer, being among the first generation of Rastafarian musicians, would definitely have seen many of such people come and go, hence his skepticism of Capleton in his earlier years. But eventually changed his mind when he saw that Capleton was for real.
One thing about Bunny Wailer is that if you ain't real, he ain't gonna be around you.
It's testament to Capleton's character that he understood this and took it all in his stride like a true Rastafarian would do. So there you have it. Thank you for watching this video today. Please leave a like, subscribe, and until next time, Jah bless.